Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome indeed, yes, to another edition of the Mark Moses Show podcast. As we're always broadcasting from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Take back control of your life. Call them today, 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. It's Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Now, joining me right now is the Rocket Man. I believe he's in outer space right now broadcasting from us. Not Tim Island. He is Mr. 321 with the Florida Today newspaper. He is Tim Walters. Tim, how's space going for you right now?
If I knew I was going to get that kind of setup, I would have set up a space background to make it look like I was hurling through space. But instead, I have the same background I always have because I'm on Tim Island. But I wish I was hurtling through space. I would love to feel zero gravity.
Where were you last night seeing that bad boy rocket go up in the air?
Yeah, Mark, I got to tell you, I'm really jealous of my colleagues who were out at the Space Center covering this because I covered space for probably close to a decade. And, you know, I'd be out there for shuttle launches or for Mars rover launches and things like that. But, you know, being the sports editor now over two properties and as the active high school reporter in Brevard while we have a job search going on, I just don't have time to be a part of historic things like the rocket launch. So last night I was watching it from my front yard. I actually got a beautiful photo and video. Yeah. If you live here on the Space Coast, that's all you have to do is walk outside to watch a rocket from any vantage point. So it was incredible. You know, you could see the separation of the boosters. It was so clear. Thank God it went first try. It went safely. They didn't have to test out that abort system, which if you've ever seen videos of how that system works, it's insane how an abort system works. But, you know, it would keep our people safe, unlike with what happened with the shuttle. So, you know, a lot of emotions yesterday going back to the moon. You know, these folks certainly, you know, they're not going to land on the moon. In a way, it's reminiscent of Apollo 8 when they sent up, you know, the crew that went by the moon for the first time. You know, and William Anders took that famous Earthrise photo where for the first time ever, instead of seeing the moon rising in the distance, they saw the Earth rising in the distance. So, you know, this one has huge historical impact. In fact, Mark, I'm doing something because I still do love space and I do treat it like sports. I'm working on my 10 most important space flights in U.S. spaceflight history. So we're not going to account, you know, Sputnik or Yuri Gagarin being the first person in space, but I am going to look at the top 10 moments in U.S. spaceflight history and hopefully have that ready to go in a few days. But it's just an incredible thing, and I'm so happy it went first try yesterday.
I was amazed by how big it was. I could not believe, because I've been here for 13 years, and I've seen these rockets go up all the time. And there's times, and I know I feel like a jerk. It's like, whatever. Like, that's literally, whatever. That bad boy was big. And it was like one of those things where you went outside, you're like, what? Wow. And the dumbest part about me, it was going like this. Your brain's thinking it's just going to go straight up in the air. Oh, no. It's going like this, dude. How amazed were you by how big that thing was last night?
Well, yeah, I mean, you hear the tales of the Apollo rockets, and those were essentially 32 stories tall. I think this one was even a little bit taller. But the way I explained it to my daughter last night, I was like, that's like watching a 35-story building take off. You know, that's essentially what it is. I mean, these things are ridiculous. I mean, the shuttle is huge. Go to the visitor complex and look at the external tank that's out there, the big red tank. And I can't remember exactly how tall that is. But again, I think it's something like 18 or 20 stories tall. So this thing is nearly twice as tall as that. I mean, these rockets, in fact, they have one of the Apollo rockets out there in the rocket garden at the visitor complex, and that's the one that's not standing up. It's the one lying down because they can't stand that up. A hurricane will easily take a rocket that size down. It's also much thicker. And then the capsule, you're essentially, I mean, there's 4 people in essentially what's smaller than an RV. So they have a tiny bathroom that has a privacy door. Now, there's females on this flight. There didn't used to be, so there wasn't a privacy door in the old way, so you just kind of had to turn around and go to the bathroom, you know. But like this, they have a little privacy door, they have a little exercise equipment, and then they have where the 4 of them sit. These are people in very close quarters for what's going to amount to 9 or 10 days as they make their way to the moon, around the moon, and then back home. But it's like it's like being in a van to the moon.
Last night, I'm outside with my neighbors, and everyone's getting ready, just like your neighborhood. Everyone's, and what's funny is it's like Jaws. You're like, where is it? You're like, all right, it's got to be that way. No. And you start, look, where is it? It's almost like, there it is. And it was funny. Right before it happened, you could tell there's this car driving around, and he's lost. And you could tell he's like Uber Eats or DoorDash. Or he's like, hey, he comes to me, hey, buddy, is this the right address? I'm like, time out. I told him, time out. Look up. All right, then we'll help you out. Just stop it. Okay. So he had no idea that this was happening. But dude, it was really cool. It really was. And when you go on Facebook, the timeline took over. Just everyone posting the photos. And I'm jealous because I saw your guys, John Torres, he was there. And give credit to the GOAT, Craig Bailey. Those photos he took, like, wow. I am jealous we were not up there, but I tried getting credentials January 1st, and they're like, I'm sorry, the deadline was December 31st. So I screwed up, right? So you tell Craig Bailey he's the GOAT when it comes to taking these photos.
Oh, I mean, Craig Bailey and also Malcolm Denemark and Tim Short are 3 longtime photographers. I mean, Tim and Denny have been working at Florida Today since the first shuttles went up in 1981, wow. And Craig Bailey joined the team in 1983. So these are guys that have shot hundreds, if not nowadays, thousands of launches the way, SpaceX launches rockets regularly. And, Malcolm Denemark, we call him Denny. He was the runner-up for the Pulitzer Prize for the explosion of Challenger in 1986. He and photographer Michael Brown both had amazing photos. Michael Brown's photo actually had the stream of smoke where you could see the tip of the capsule where the astronauts still were as it fell down to the ocean. And, they were runner-up for the Pulitzer Prize because also in 1986, they took down the Marcos family in what country was that? I can't remember, in Central America. But the Marcos raid had a photographer with them. And as the U.S. forces came in and raided his compound, the photos from that beat out the photos of the Challenger explosion. But, Craig Bailey is one of the most amazing and accomplished photographers. And he could just do space, but he also loves going out to our high school events. So I bet everybody has seen Craig Bailey. And he doesn't just go to the popular events. He's at baseball, softball, tennis. He's at volleyball, basketball. He goes to football, of course. Craig Bailey is everywhere, and I can't sing his praises enough. 43 years at Florida Today, and those photos are awesome. But Mark, I did want to mention that you talk about the Facebook page being loaded with different photos, videos. The coolest video I saw was somebody who had taken off from an airport in Palm Beach on a Southwest Airlines flight, was able to shoot the rocket taking off. So you see like the tip of the Southwest airline, the wing, and then you see the rocket taking off. That was freaking the scope, the scale, the visual. What a great thing. So kudos to that person who shot that video.
Yeah, it's amazing where I got colleagues in Orlando, they're filming it. And then I have a bunch of family in Port St. Lucie. So I'm thinking like, all right, how far are they? 100 miles from where the rocket went off? And it's like, they're watching it. That thing was awesome. Right. And I just want to say safe travels, go do that mission, come back safe. That I can't stress that enough. But, yeah, I'm going to win the Pulitzer Prize when I raid Tim Island and I get you out of there and we go out for beers and then I will take photos. That's what it'll be. I'll get Craig Bailey to shoot those photos. I'm grabbing you out.
I'm looking forward to that day, Mark. Let's see. My daughter graduates high school in about 7 years, so you should be able to pry me out of here by then.
Sure, I like it. All right, the other news this week that got completely overshadowed, as it should, from the Artemis 2 launch last night. How about them Orlando Jaguars, buddy? How excited are you for this for 27?
Yeah, I think this is a really good thing. The people in Orlando don't get too excited because they are going back to Jacksonville. We're not going to give them away. But also, I think maybe you'll see 6 games in Orlando at the most because it is a year where they have 9 home games, but they're also talking about either 3 London games or 2 London games and a Germany game. So they might, get a little tour of Europe there. But yeah, coming to Orlando for at least 6 games or potentially 6 games in 2027. I thought Donna Deegan, the mayor of Jacksonville,
Yeah.
she was pretty entertaining when she's like, we're not going to be chanting Orlando. We're going to stick with the Duval chant. And then she poked fun at Liam Cohen, saying Liam will show you how to do it, because Liam hasn't said it since his opening press conference, where he sounded like a voice coming out of a haunted house going, Duval.
Hey, it worked. Hey, they made the playoffs. Whatever.
But yeah, I mean, it's a great announcement. We broke the news Tuesday night from the owners' meetings. Our columnist at the Florida Times-Union, Ryan O'Halloran, was out in Phoenix at the fancy Biltmore Hotel. Looks very posh. He said one latte costs $10.22. So that'll give you an idea of how expensive that is. But anyhow, we broke that news Tuesday night. And, Ryan, he had a really productive time out there. He got a one-on-one with Shad Khan. He got a one-on-one with Tony Baselli. He got a one-on-one with Liam Cohen, and he got a one-on-one with James Gladstone. So we learned a lot about the Jaguars. Gladstone talking about Anton Harrison, who was the number one overall, or who was our first round pick, a few years ago, and how his contract's coming up and how they're going to handle that. We got an update on Travis Hunter, which we haven't heard in a while, and it sounds like everything is progressing well, but they've been very protective of information on him. So just to get something with that. And then to speak to Shad Khan, the Times-Union, once a year, we get an exclusive with Shad Khan for going to London. So he actually brings us to, wherever he might be, whether it be his yacht one time, whether it be his soccer stadium that he owns. So, we get invited.
No, why didn't you get the invite? You need to go on the boat, buddy. Come on. You need to do this.
Because if we were as thriving as we were a business in the late 90s, we might send more than one person to London, but nowadays only one gets to go, and it's not the boss.
All right, I have a question. So when your reporter said the latte was $10, is he putting that as a business expense? Like how it's did he put 7 lattes down and then the paper has to pay for it? What happened?
He's got a company credit card, so hopefully he's just using that. I don't know.
$10 latte. Oh, man. They better be telling me jokes for $10.
Well, I mean, you're out there near the border. He didn't tell me if there are any like $30, tequila shots or anything. I don't know. There's a lot of agave growing out there. I'd be afraid to see the margarita price.
See, what's interesting, you bring up the Jacksonville mayor. I saw that as well. I thought it was interesting because it's a funny joke, but like at the same time, brings up a bigger question. I agree. Hey, they're the Jacksonville Jaguars, pretty much the new stadium. They're going to be there. But it kind of feels like, you know what? This is a big moment for Orlando. They've got to be first class for everything when they have those NFL games. Because don't you feel like this is kind of an audition for them? Hey, we can do NFL football here in Orlando. Maybe not the Jaguars long term, but hey, we're just going to throw, we have the Orlando Dreamer nonsense, third baseball team. Hey, maybe we should be an NFL town. Do you kind of feel that way as well, Tim?
I mean, I think they want to put a good front forward, but it'll never happen. 4 NFL teams in the state of Florida, I don't see it. They are going to renovate Camping World. I think they're putting, several $100 million into it before this comes up. But, they're renovating for $1.5 billion Everbank Stadium. They have a 30-year plan in Jacksonville. The lease is signed with the Jaguars. Shad Khan is happy there. So they're not going anywhere. Orlando, I think, would be a world-class destination. I would still prefer see one of our current Major League Baseball teams move to Orlando, because I think that as opposed to, let's say, where the Rays are, I know people in the Bay Area love their Rays, but it's so hard to get to that stadium. Now they're playing at a minor league park, while there's just so many things going on there. You bring them to Orlando, you can get to Orlando from north, south, east, and west. We've got one of the busiest airports in the country because everyone's coming to Orlando. Partner with Disney somehow, because Lord knows they know how to market things. And, that's ultimately, but do I think a 4th NFL team could exist in Orlando? I mean, sure, the NFL is such a big thing, but I don't see expansion beyond 32 teams in the near future. Look,
maybe it's not expansion. I mean, we saw the Chargers go to LA. The Raiders went to Vegas. Look, I told this to my buddy the other day, and don't be upset what I'm about to say. It's another buddy named Tim. There are more Tims in my life than you. I'm sorry. I was like, these cities do not care that you have a current pro team. They will steal your team in 2 seconds if they have the opportunity. They can't wait to steal your franchise. They can't. My thing with Orlando is, and you brought up a great, like all those, great city, great for tourism, great airport, right? When they play those Jaguar games at Camping World Stadium, they have to make sure that it's a first class, no problems. There can't be like, well, people can't get in the stadium. We had problems with the ticket gate. Oh no. Everything, it has to be sold out. It has to be perfect. Florida Citrus Sports, Mayor Buddy Dyer, everyone has to be on board. It has to be perfect just for this little slither of hope. Hey, maybe we can attract more pro teams to Orlando. That's what I'm just saying, Tim. And I hope that's fair if I bring that up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Dolphins already play so far away from Miami that, maybe they could be the Orlando Dolphins. No, I don't think they're leaving their compound either. And I don't think the Bucs would ever move there. You'd have to think of what's another small market NFL team, that maybe doesn't do so well. And, I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look at the numbers. I'm sure the Jaguars are pretty low on the totem pole as far as revenue and fans and things of that nature. But I mean, a fourth team. I don't understand why Orlando wasn't, when the Jaguars and if you read the history of how the Jaguars came to Jacksonville, there's a lot that went into it for more than a decade before that announcement was even made. But, it's a shame that Orlando couldn't have gotten an NFL team then, and it is weird to have a city like Orlando that's a major tourist destination and they only have one professional team. It's a little mind-boggling.
Okay. What is the experience going to be like? Because I'm thinking more of like an NFL Europe game where it's not going to be 60,000 Jaguar fans. I'm sorry to say that. It's going to be every NFL fan base is going to show up. Like when we see those games in Europe where, look, it'll be Jaguars, Titans, and then you're going to see guys with Steelers jerseys and Giants. Do you kind of feel that way as well with what the atmosphere might be like?
Yeah, and I mean, especially depending on who their, home games are going to be there. I mean, there's so many teams much more popular than the Jaguars. So, again, I don't know who their opponents will be in 2027, but let's say the New York Giants is one of them. We have so many New York transplants. Let's say the Patriots are one of them. We have so many Boston transplants. It's like anywhere, if it's the Lions, I mean, so many people from Detroit are down here. I think that you will see a much bigger split, obviously at home. In Jacksonville, it's a majority of Jaguars fans. There's still on empty seats. If Orlando is packing the house and you're also bringing in a big, group of people from the opposing team or just people that want to watch an NFL game, people who are there visiting Disney and who say, wow, there's an NFL game this weekend. We'll go to Magic Kingdom Saturday and an NFL game Sunday, anything like that. I think that would be cool. And I think that they need to, give them a Sunday night game or a Monday night game or a Thursday night game in Orlando. Because for Orlando, renovating the stadium for that much money and housing this team for 6 games, I think that city does need to be rewarded. And I think a good way would be to put it in a much bigger national spotlight than the 1 p.m. Sunday game that the Jaguars always get.
Well, I want you to know today is April 2nd. One of my coworkers yesterday already hit me up. Mark, are you going to take me to one of these games when you get your credentials? All right. Look, we haven't even played the NFL draft for this year yet. We haven't had the offseason. How far is this from now? 18 months? Look, like, are you starting to get like our coworkers hitting you up? Hey, come on. What's the hookup? Let's go.
No, nobody's asked me yet, but I know that I'll be going to a lot more home games than I do in Jacksonville because, again, on a 1:00 game, I'm not supposed to get a hotel room and stay overnight. So it's 2.5 hours up, 2.5 hours back. That's a 5-hour round trip while also slathering an NFL game in between it and working all day and into the night. But with Orlando, hey, from my house, door to door to the arena, just about 60 minutes, maybe even 55 on a good traffic day. Although on an NFL game, it wouldn't be a good traffic day, but I would get there 3 hours before the game anyhow. But no one's hit me up for it, Mark, but I am planning on taking in games at Orlando for coverage purposes.
Okay, someone texted me. Here is the home schedule for 2027. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. I'm with you. I think you think there's going to be like 2 Europe games, like 2 London, right?
I
So
think
you
there
might,
will be 3. I think in 20 we've got the 2026 opponents, not 2027 yet.
oh, you don't see someone, maybe I'm wrong. I have, all right, you would have this, you automatically know this. Houston, Indy, and Tennessee, your 3 divisional opponents. You'd have them at home. I have, and I could be wrong, Buffalo, Miami, New Orleans, Tampa, right? And then you'd have the different West winners as well. Now, that could be wrong.
No,
I,
actually, that's correct. I have it here in front of
oh,
me too. I guess I should have said we don't have the complete. As you see, the AFC West opponent and NFC West opponent, that's based on how they finish in 2026. Do they get the top team in the division? Do they get? So we do know some of the opponents. So yeah, the Dolphins will be making, a quick trip. But wouldn't it be funny if with the Dolphins and Jaguars playing in Orlando, instead they send that game to London? That would almost be comical.
I think Orlando, I think they'd be yelling. I think the Dolphins and the Jaguars would be yelling as well. That would be like a college football bowl game atmosphere, dude. I think that
And
or
the
the
Buccaneers too.
Buccaneers. Those 2 games. If you are the state of Florida, whoever the governor is going to be by then, I know DeSantis is leaving, and then you'll have a new guy. I think everyone in the state has to yell, "Do not put that game in London. We want that game in Florida." That game would be awesome. Dolphins or Buccaneers, dude, we're going to that. Check that off. We're going. It'd be so awesome for that.
Well,
There's
a great idea, Mark. I want everyone in the state of Florida to write my name in for the governor's race this year. Forget Republican, forget Democrat. Everyone vote for Tim Walters, and the state of Florida would be known as Fun Florida.
Fun Florida. And what you need to do, like a bowl game. Okay, let's say it's Dolphins Jaguars. Half the stadium, just like every bowl game there at Camping World, half is one team, other heart of the stadium, half of the stadium. Oh, man, that would be so awesome to go to. I'm ready. I'm ready now. I am.
I'd split the stadium into quarters, where one quarter is the Dolphins orange, and then the catty cornered would be their teal, and then in the other 2 corners you would have the Jaguars teal and the black, so they'd be across from each other. The aerial view would be awesome.
It would. All right, so it's not Duval, it's Orlando. Is it one of the Warriors? Warriors.
Orange.
That's what it would be. Let's end with this with Tim Walters, and I appreciate coming on, Rocket Man. So I got to talk to former Brevard County high school football star, who's now on the Orlando Storm, Jayshon Corbin, last week. Great guy, right? It was awesome. Played for Rockledge, and I want to bring this up with you. In our conversation, he took great pride in being from Brevard County. And not just him, but all the other great athletes that have played. And he brought up Marcus May. And even though he's a rival of Coco, he's proud of all the guys that played there, like Jawan Taylor and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, right? You're a guy that's done this for a long time. Do you take pride in how you covered and saw a lot of these guys who then went on to maybe even get to the NFL?
Oh, yeah, I absolutely love seeing that. I think it's cool that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, he signed with the Bills. I follow where these guys go. These are our local heroes. And so, it's, it is. It's something to be proud of. The running back is skipping my name. He was a Rockledge running back, and he was on the Chargers. Then he went to the Browns.
Are you talking Rocket Sanders?
Raheem the Rocket Sanders. When you see him, he had such a good preseason, but the Chargers couldn't keep him because they had drafted what was his name, Amarian Hampton, and they also had their incumbent running back. So he ended up not making the cut, and the Browns saw what he did because he ran for a couple of touchdowns. They said, we'll give him a try. They had a 2-headed monster at running back there, unfortunately, but there's a guy who teams look at him and say, this guy is good. Where can we fit him in? And I'm looking forward to seeing where he lands next year. Because, we follow these guys. We love these guys. They're awesome. Dylan Jordan, the pitcher from Vieira High School, he looks like he's going to be a stud for the Angels. So just watch the guys that come out of Brevard County, because we do have amazing players, and it's really cool to see where their careers take them.
You're absolutely right. And Jay Sean scored twice in that first game. And it's interesting. He brought up playing in the UFL now, and the idea that he finally gets to play in his backyard, because, he played at Florida State, Texas A&M, then, some of these NFL teams. He likes that his family and friends can finally see him. But what's interesting to me is he gets a new demo tape. He gets there's updated highlight reels on him playing the UFL, because he wants to still play in the NFL.
Sure.
Do you think that is really the purpose of this spring football, like the UFL?
Well, of course. I mean, unlike other leagues that have minor leagues, the NFL really doesn't have a minor league. Now, college football has kind of been its de facto minor league. The XFL was never considered that, really. And now the UFL, which is the mixture of that and the XFL, if I was them, if I'm the leadership there, it's cool to see guys like Corbin and guys like that get opportunities. But to get exposure, I'd do like the old UFL or USFL, whatever the one in the early 80s was. Go sign some of them. Remember, they signed Joe Namath in 1983 or whatever year that was, 40 years ago. Do that now. Go find some of these retired guys who think they still have something left in the tank. Phillip Rivers. Let's sign some of these guys to the UFL, because then when you have some of the experienced guys like that, number one, you get attention. But number two, these young guys that are learning have a better opportunity to make it to the NFL, because you're playing with Phillip Rivers, who is in the NFL. So, obviously it's a financial thing. I don't know what their budget looks like, but it's cool to see Corbin. I would love to see this league really serve more, I think, as a minor league. But yeah, so good luck to them.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I know they play this weekend as well at, let me make sure I do this right, Inter and Co Stadium. Very interesting with the name. I just say Orlando City Soccer Stadium. I make it easy. What's the most you've spent on a business expense that you had? You said $10 latte.
Jeez.
I'm trying to think. Dude, companies love me because I will not spend any money. I try to make it as affordable and cheap as possible if I'm going on any type of trip for business purposes. And what about you, Mr. 321?
Mark, there is a funny story here, because I'm like you. I always try and go on the cheap. Yeah. But what year was it? I think it was 2010, when a space reporter, who I will not name, so I won't indict him, he and I went out west to work on a space documentary, when commercial space was in its earliest days. And we went to Hawthorne to SpaceX. We went to Huntington Beach, where they were working on what's now known as Starliner. We went out to Mojave, where we saw Richard Branson's brother and things like this. So one night we were at dinner, and I was always notorious. I didn't want to get in trouble for spending too much money. We ate at the hotel restaurant. We were staying at kind of a pretty nice hotel. And he just kept telling me, he's like, you can't worry about it on a trip like this. He ordered a steak. He ordered a bottle of wine. And so I followed suit. And for the only time probably ever, I ate like a king that night. Now, I don't remember what it cost. By $26, it was probably cheap, but by $10, it was a lot. I just remember that's the only time I got a big old New York strip steak. I was drinking, and yeah, we expensed that. Nobody ever questioned it. Thank God.
Well, then that actually worked out. There you go. Now, if you did a $50, now I'm going to laugh. If you $50 burger, what the hell is this, Tim Walters? All right. Check out the latest with FloridaToday.com. My man, thank you so much for coming on. Have a great weekend. I know it's a holiday weekend with your family, and I'll see you next week. All right?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mark. Thank you. Thank you to all of the listeners. Happy Easter to those who celebrate. And check out FloridaToday.com. As I mentioned earlier, I've been kind of running things while we're trying to hire a high school reporter. On Friday, we have our first baseball and softball team rankings that we've ever done here at Florida Today. So we're going to see how popular those are. I've been following along, Mark. We have a softball team in Melbourne High that is 13-0. How awesome is that? So you can learn about that and more. Read it at floridatoday.com. Those go live tomorrow. Check out all our stats and information. And Mark, I always appreciate you having me on, and I love it. Here, to quote Optimus Prime, I love it. Oh, wait, no. Let's transform and roll out. I should have had my Hot Wheels A-Team here, Mark. I got the wrong prop.
Do it anyway. Do it. You are going to be so smooth. And then
transform and roll out.
You're Duke basketball. 10 seconds. We're going to the Final Four. Nope. All right. Great stuff. I'll see you, buddy.